People has been like, and we're live. Hi everyone, welcome to Legal Lunch and Learn, a weekly live show where we ask an expert your questions about a legal topic. Except not today. Today it's more of a public service announcement kind of day. We are going to talk about scams and how to avoid them. My name is Cindy. I am a staff attorney here at Maryland Legal Aid. My co-host today is staff attorney Tim Darby. Hi Tim.
Hi, Cindy.
Um, our production engineer, as usual, is Alec Chase. She's in the background, making sure everything's running smoothly. And of course, today we're talking about scams. So if you do have questions about scams, you can feel free to drop them in the comment down below. Or if you have a particularly bad story that you want to share with everyone here, feel free to type that in too. And of course, if you want to remain anonymous but still share your horrible stories or what you learned from it, you can direct or private message us. And as usual, if you do have an immediate legal issue, make sure you're contacting us. Our contact information is lawyer@mdlab.org. That's LAWYER at mdlab.org. Our phone number here is 443-451-2805. And of course, this video will also be uploaded to YouTube after we finish recording them. So for those who do need captions, you can go to YouTube and click on the auto-generated captions. And even though we're not really giving out legal advice today, even if you take our advice today for whatever non-legal purposes, it still does not establish an attorney or client relationship between you and Maryland Legal Aid or any of the attorneys that you see here today. So with that out of the way, Tim, you've been on the show a couple of times, so I don't think we really need an introduction for you.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yep, but so let's just dive right in. Let's so something I do want to talk about today is that first of all, scams on the rise, and because everyone's so isolated, it becomes kind of easier for people to scam other people. And I just want to let everyone know that scams can happen to anyone. It could be someone who is well educated. It could be someone who's very worldly. It could happen to lawyers. It could happen to doctors. It really doesn't matter who you are. There are people out there who may successfully scam you. So let's start with some horror stories, hopefully with happy endings. So Tim, you want to go ahead and tell us your experience with a potential scammer?
Sure. So about 6 months ago, I got a call from my maternal grandparents, and someone had just called them saying that they were me and that I had been arrested. They spun this big elaborate yarn about how I was riding in the car with someone that I knew but not that well, and then the cops pulled the car over and there were drugs in the car, and how I need money for bail and this is really urgent. And then my grandparents said, "You don't sound like Tim." The guy said, "Yeah, it's because I'm sick in jail here. I think I have COVID-19." And my grandparents are, you know, scared and they're worried for me, but they had, the common sense to, hang up on this person and then give me a call on my cell phone just to make sure, like, where are you? Are you in jail? Is this legitimate? And of course it wasn't. I was at home working. Um, and so that was more than enough in and of itself. But then a few months after that, my grandparents on my dad's side got a call from someone claiming to be me and that I just got into a car accident and that I need money like right now, right now, right now to pay this lawyer at the scene. That story wasn't as believable as the story for my other grandparents, just because that doesn't seem to make sense that there's a lawyer at the scene demanding money. But
That's the kind of bloodsuckers we are.
yeah, no kidding. I don't think that this person knew that I actually was a lawyer, but my grandparents did, and so they hung up on this person, gave me a call, and then that was all settled, and no one lost any money, no one was fooled, and I am not incarcerated, and I have not gotten into a car accident. So all's well that ends well there. Do you have any horror stories, Cindy?
Not a horror story, but just to show that anyone can be approached by a scammer, or really any phone can be approached by a scammer. So a lifetime ago, a long, long time ago, not in a galaxy far, far away, but a long time ago, I was working as a prosecutor in another state, not Maryland. So one of the things that we prosecutors do is that we take turns have this, crappy cell phone we call the warrant phone, which is used for when the police officers there, if they want to have an emergency warrant for whatever reason, before they wake up a judge and get yelled at, they will wake up a state's attorney. And obviously I don't yell at people, but the purpose is so that if there's emergency, they can call me and they'll have a warrant pretty much written out, and I'll go over it to make sure it's something that's legit before, sending it to a judge and asking for a judge to sign it. Long story short, at 3 a.m., of course, I get a phone call and I'm like, oh no, like someone got arrested for DUI and they don't want to, do the breathalyzer. And that's the most common reason why I get waken up at 3 a.m. at the time, because in Illinois, the police can ask for a warrant to draw blood for for alcohol test. But so I answer the phone, and it turns out to be this woman who tells me that I have won a Caribbean cruise for two, and obviously I know this is a scam because nobody's that nice. Nobody's going to give me a vacation in the middle of all this madness. But either way, it's something that really struck me was that it's a robot. It's obviously a robot calling because it wasn't actually responding to my questions, but it sounded very much like a human being. When I answered the phone, the recording actually said, "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well." So it sounded like I was talking to a legit human. Of course, I was not. And this is a government phone that I've gotten for an official business. So it's just very surprising that I get scam calls on there, and and I did what I was supposed to. I just hung up because it's 3 a.m. I don't need to try to figure out who this person is. But so the moral story here is that really it doesn't matter where you get a call or a text. It could be a scammer. Um, I don't. Is that your cat?
Yeah, he's up on the table. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
okay. Uh, so let's start talking about the types of scam that we do want to talk about today. So Tim, yours had a story where, or your experience is that someone called pretending to be you.
Mhm,
And I just want to add that I do hear clients sometimes tell me that they'll have someone calling pretending to be the bail bondsman,
mhm,
and saying that your child or your grandchild is out on bail, and if you don't pay now, I'm gonna go and hurt them, or
mhm.
bring them in, but hurt them with
Yeah.
violence. So those type of scams are people claim to be somebody else, and the purpose, and I think it's really important to know why people are doing these kinds of scams. So the purpose of that particular scam is to make you pay money right away. So Tim, do you want to talk about like what other instances where people might pretend to be somebody else?
Yeah, a really big thing is people calling and saying that they're from some kind of government agency like the IRS, and then saying that, you have a tax refund and we need your information, or we need a deposit before we can actually give you this money that is owed to you. Or they can be threatening you, saying that you didn't pay your taxes correctly, you didn't pay enough taxes, and so, you need to give us X amount of money, or we're going to file some kind of court proceeding against you, or arrest you, something like that. And the important thing to know is that the IRS is never going to call you. They're going to send you a letter. If there is some kind of ongoing business with the IRS that you know about, then yeah, they might call you then, but they're never going to call you out of the blue. They're certainly not going to threaten you like that. There's also calls out there, people saying that they need your information to get coronavirus stimulus payment. Those aren't happening as much anymore now that most people have gotten their checks. There's also emails out there pretending to be a family member, a coworker, or someone's boss. That's going to have their signature line and everything, and
Yep.
it's going to say it's from this person, but then you notice that the email address isn't quite right. It doesn't quite make sense. They're just trying to, get money from
Yeah.
you, get into your computer, something like that. It's no good.
Sometimes I just want to point out that sometimes people's work email address do get hacked.
That is very,
And there are programs out there that let you spoof an email address. So you could get an email address that, for all intents and purposes, is an email from your supervisor saying, "Hey, I'm doing this project. I need $50 on this iTunes gift card. Can you get them and mail them to this place? Or can you buy them and send it to this email address?" That, yep,
yeah.
that does happen too.
Yeah, and that touches on something else. I know that's not exactly what we're talking about right now, but
Yep.
the whole gift card thing, any legitimate payment is not going to be you reading a gift card number over the phone. A big thing is Steam gift cards. There's an online game store called Steam that's really common for scammers to say, "Oh, we need." You buy $100 gift card and just read the code over the phone, and then that's your payment. That's never legitimate. You should never, buy a gift card and read that number over the phone. Same for wire transfers; those are very popular with Western Union. They're very, very hard to trace, and scammers love it for that.
Yep. And iTunes, I think it's a big one
iTunes,
too.
yes, absolutely, absolutely, and Amazon, of course.
Yep.
But back to what we were talking about. There are scams, people pretending to be from a software manufacturer or like Microsoft or Apple saying that they've detected a problem with your computer and they want you to click a link or something, and that just gets you into a whole mess of trouble. I know I get calls all the time that say that my car warranty has expired, or something about my extended warranty. That's garbage. And yeah, just if anyone is pretending, or if anyone is claiming to be from some kind of organization or someone that just verify that it is in fact them. Hang up the phone, get in touch with that person on a number that you know and trust, or some kind of online portal if they claim to be from a government agency. And then there's going to be a phone number there. Give them a call, say, "Hey, was that you who just called me?"
Yep. And I want to also mention that, one thing that you want to keep in mind to prevent being scammed like this is to think about how much do you really know about the other person on the line. So for example, if it's the IRS calling, or a different organization, it doesn't have to be IRS, but that's just the most common one. If it's someone calling saying, "I'm from this big company," like "I'm from Apple, I'm from Microsoft, I'm from the government," their contact info is out there. All the government's contact info, all these big companies' contact info is out there. So you can be like, "Oh, that's great. Tell me which department you are. I'm gonna hang up and call that company now, and I'll get to you." You don't have. A lot of times, scammers, especially when they call, they want to make it sound urgent. For example, Tim, with you, they're saying that you were in a car accident or you're in jail. So they're making it sound so urgent so that people don't think about who they're actually talking to.
Mhm.
So so if you do get a call where it's someone you don't know, try a different number. You can go online and find all these legit phone number. Back when I lived in Chicago, I actually had someone come to my door claiming to be I think Energy Star. I can't remember the big company that they had, RNG, there for utilities, but claiming from someone from utilities saying that they need to see my utility bill. And I was like, "Well, no, if you're from that company, you wouldn't need to see it." So I'm like, "Let me just double check." So I closed door. I called my utility company and went, "Hey, are you guys sending people door to door?" And they're like, "Nope." So, I never opened my door back up again. I guess the person just left after a while. And I think it's happening now too. Even during COVID, I still have people coming to my door, knocking on my door, even now. And one dead giveaway is that they're not wearing a mask. And definitely not opening door to people not wearing a mask. It's
Yeah,
definitely someone trying to scam me.
no kidding.
Yeah. So that's a bit about people pretending to be somebody else. And another kind of scam that I do see quite frequently, it's advanced fee scam. So this is also aimed at the purpose of this kind of scam is also to have you pay, to make you give money. So as we move on to the different kinds of scam, you'll see that sometimes it's not about your money, it's about somebody else's money or your information that people are trying to steal.
Mhm.
So a couple of examples of advanced fee scam is one really long time one, and people have been making fun of it for decades. It's the Nigerian prince one. When you get an email saying, I am a Nigerian prince, I am stuck in this country, I just want to go back, send me $200 and I'll send you back $2,000 when I get home,
Mhm.
or whatever the number is. That's very obviously a scam. But for those who never encountered it before, it might sound like a good deal, right? I'm just trying to help somebody else who will return the favor. So and some other kind of variation is and I actually have gotten this before, is the student who's will be emailing you maybe from a .edu email address, which by the way also can be very easily spoofed, saying, "Hey, I'm a student stuck in another country. I promise when I get back to the U.S., I'll pay you back, but I need air fee to travel from here to here." So, also a scam. Um, other scams for pay to make you pay in advance, including fake jobs where you have to pay for the training. That's also a sort of a Ponzi scheme kind of scam. Or um, landlords were they're not actually the landlord or of the property, but they will put up an advertisement saying that they are the landlord, and asking you to pay a processing fee to check your background, and or a moving fee or something like that, and then you pay all that, you get to the place to try to check out the house, and it turns out to be abandoned lot or something like that. um so those are examples of advanced fee scam. You can try to avoid those by well, actually, I think just recognizing them to begin with, it's kind of a big deal. Oh, not, I'm sorry, not a big deal. It's a big step towards not falling for them. Anytime when someone you don't know is promising you a lot of money if you just pay a little bit ahead of time, is definitely scamming you, because nobody wants to give away money. Honestly, nobody. I don't even want to give away money. And Now that I can, we're not very wealthy. So,
Yeah.
Tim, do you have any other thoughts on advanced fee scams or how to avoid them or examples?
Yeah, we see a lot here in the Baltimore area, these fake landlord scams, just because there are a lot of vacant properties. And if you're thinking about renting a place, there's a really handy tool at the State Department of Assessment and Taxation website where you can put in the address and then it'll pop right up who owns it. If the person offering to rent it is somebody else, then that should really raise some red flags. And you should demand to actually meet the actual owner of the property, because we have seen, people signing these fake leases for properties that this landlord doesn't own, pay a security deposit, pay the first month's rent, and then the fake landlord just up and vanishes. You can't contact them and they get a few $1,000s of your money. And you're now living in a place that you're not actually legally entitled to live in. And then the actual owner can then come and file a court action to get you out. And that's just a whole mess that you don't want to get into. So just make sure to verify, for any of these scams, just verify that you are talking to the person that you think you're actually talking to.
Yep. And I just want to point out at this point, if you've been listening to us complaining and talking about scams this far, one of the reasons this is not really a legal advice episode is really that once you get scammed, sometimes it's really hard to track down who it is that scammed you. And especially when it's something that's over the phone or over the internet, the person can be from out of state or out of the country. And if that's the case, I mean, if it's out of state, you might have some ability to track them down and you can report these to the FBI and they will help you. But if the person's out of country, there's literally nothing you can do to bring them to justice. So the best way to not get scammed is really to try your best to avoid them. And and we'll talk a little bit about, if the person is in Maryland, what you can do, like reporting them to the Attorney General's office. But that's really the almost a worst case scenario. You don't want to get to that point.
Yeah.
So with that little caveat, let's move on to internet and social media scams, which I think take up I feel like it's more and more on the rise now that everyone's so dependent on social media and the internet. And I think it's also particularly difficult for the generation that didn't necessarily grow up with the internet. I mean, I remember back when the internet wasn't a thing. Like I remember it was a big deal that we got the modems that make the screechy noises.
You got your little AOL discs.
Yeah, I remember AOL. That's the thing too. All you youngins back there. So I mean, I'm lucky in that I love technology. I like building computers. So to me, and even I get a lot of scam come to me too, and I don't think I've fallen for any. I mean, I might not even know, which is scary. But if you think about it, I think it's even more scary for the generation where they didn't really grow up with computer. And nowadays I think it's really hard to be able to differentiate what is legit or what is this newfangled business that people are coming up with. So let's Tim, do you want to talk about some examples of what you might see on on the internet, and maybe
Yeah.
why, like what the internet scam people are trying to do, like what's
Yeah.
their
So speak of the devil, I just received a text message from a number that I do not know. It says, trigger your metabolism to block fats. Just follow this trick. And then there's this link. And
don't click it. Don't click
I'm
it.
not going to click it. I literally got this 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So that's a classic example of, I know I'm not the only one who gets these texts with these links. And, they try to get you to click it so they can, install some malware on your device, get you to enter in personal information so they can steal your identity, that kind of thing. Anytime you get a link from an email, a text message that you don't know, never click it. That's a pretty hard and fast rule. Oftentimes you'll see when you're browsing the web, you'll see ads that say, you won a free gift card or you won a free iPad and you have to click this in, X number of seconds. And, I remember when I was a kid, I legitimately thought, oh my gosh, I could get an iPod mini for free by clicking this. And you click it and it's a whole deal. You don't want to go down that path. But anything that's too good to be true that you see online, it almost always is. You might see ads that are actually a picture of you that is custom tailored to just you as a viewer. It's only going to you. They scoop it up from social media sites. Pay no attention to that. It's scary, but don't engage. You also see ads for something that, say, this Baltimore resident saved $100 just by doing these 3 simple things. That's clickbait. At best, they're trying to get some views for their website. At worst, they're up to something nefarious. You might see at the bottom of certain web pages some gossip about celebrities, like, you'll never believe what the actor who played Theo Huxtable is up to these days. And it's never anything exciting or good, and it's not worth your time at best, and at worst, again, it's nefarious. You can also get emails or see pop up that says, I know you did this bad thing. I know that you were on adult websites and we have videos of you and they're all fake, but just don't engage. It's supposed to be scary. And so just don't give out your information. Don't click anything like that. It's always a bad deal. There's also a very popular scam on dating websites to make fake profiles to get people's information, to get people to send money. I'm a fan of the show 90 Day Fiancé. It is just complete trash television. But in the most recent season, they had a storyline about this poor woman who was engaging in this online relationship with someone who was clearly fake. It was a picture of a stock photo bodybuilder. The person said that they lived in London and they have this highfalutin job, and they still somehow need money from her. And so she's sending money to this person that she doesn't even know. It is a TV show, but it happens in real life all the time. Before sending anything to anyone that you meet online, meet them in person. You may, have phone calls. You might even have, video calls, but those are easy to fake. And so just make sure before you give anyone anything, meet them in person and actually gauge who they are and their character level for yourself. Don't rely on anything you see online.
Yeah, I think it's especially now with anyone can make a Facebook or Instagram or TikTok account. It's just really hard to tell who it is on the other end of things.
Absolutely.
So I feel anytime when anybody wants your personal information or make you pay for something, anytime you have to like open up your wallet, maybe think twice about how much do I really know this person. And I get it sometimes, you're lonely and you want to believe that the other person is real, but do your best to protect yourself because because these things do happen. And so we do have a question coming in. So this person is getting repeated call from Amazon saying that you charge too much. I want to verify if this is accurate. Amazon does not care how much money you spend. The more you spend, the happier they are. They do not care. The only time you might get a phone call is from your credit card company saying this doesn't look right. But do not call back the number that whoever is calling you leaves. So for example, if you do pick up the phone, you can say, you know what, let me call the number on the back of my card. So and hang up on them. Or if you get a message claiming they're from your credit card company, don't call the number or don't click on the link that they do include. That is a scam. Go to get your credit card out and call the number that's on the back. It's there for a reason, so that you can call immediately and say, yes, I did approve this purchase, or you can find out if someone's trying to scam you.
Hmm.
So that's, those are examples of, if you just take a minute to think about who's really on the other line, those are scams that you might be able to avoid. So in terms of internet scams where they do install malware or ransomware on your computer, so you click on something, it installs something, and suddenly you don't have access to your computer anymore. It's up to you if you decide you want to pay the ransom or not. Just know that if they're scamming you in the first place, there's no telling if they're actually going to release the hold on your computer if you pay. So think about what's actually on your computer and if it's worth it. And there are programs, and we won't really get into it because I don't know how many people actually fall for this, but there are programs out there that help decrypt your computer data so that even if you do get ransomware installed, and they can get rid of it. So important thing to remember when it comes to ransomware and malware is to have a good uh, antivirus system. And we won't get into what's good, what's bad, but a lot of times Microsoft will give you recommendations, and generally the recommendations are pretty solid. Go with a legit company. I also I think this also goes back to people pretending to be from Microsoft or Apple saying we noticed something on your computer, and they'll call you and some guy will walk you through how to get certain numbers or data or information from your computer. um, they are definitely trying to get specific information so that they can install a ransomware on your computer.
Hmm.
Microsoft and Apple don't really care about you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say this. They might care about how much you spend at their on their product, but they don't really care about you as an individual enough to call you. um, so those are common internet attacks, internet text social media scams there. And so with obviously we're still in pandemic mode, and I think a lot of people are working from home, and a lot of people are still isolated because unfortunately COVID infection rate is on the rise again. So we're going to be in this mode for a little while. And so we're starting to encounter a lot of COVID scams. So meaning that, you only came about because of COVID. So and the intention of these scams, and of course some of variations of these have been around for a very long time. So um the intention of these, medical care or COVID related scams are generally not necessarily stealing your money, but to steal your ID or your number from your Medicaid or Medicare number, so that they can defraud the government. And this is especially dangerous, not just to you, because a lot of times people don't even realize that they give their number to, this fraudulent company. um, but the problem is that, a year down the road or 6 months down the road, the federal government is going to say, hey, what is this that you charged under this number? Are you part of it? Did you give, like, are you trying to defraud the government for millions and millions? And then you're in trouble because you didn't even know about this. So Tim, do you want to talk about examples of how people might be able to steal your Medicaid, Medicare number?
Yeah, something that we've seen too much of is actually fake parking lot testing, um, where they set up a site and they take your insurance and your information and they give you a fake COVID test and send you on your way. It's always good if you're going to get a COVID test, just verify that, this is a legitimate testing site.
Go to your doctor, go to your PCP.
Go to your doctor. Yeah. Or yeah, that's pretty simple.
Yep.
We also have the modern day snake oil salesman who says that he has a cure for COVID-19. And that could be either to try to get your information and or to get your money. Once there is a vaccine, God willing, we're all going to find out about it at the same time. Yes. It's, there's not some kind of secret that, some people have it, some people don't know. It's a very large, extensive process. So don't believe anything that's too good to be true. It's going to be all over the news. It's going to be a very big deal. So don't get ahead of yourself and think that we have a vaccine or a cure right now. There's also a lot of fake charities out there preying on people.
Hold on. I just want to back up. There's
Sure.
not going to be a cure for a virus.
No.
Generally virus. This is how science works, how medicine works. If it's a virus, it's probably not going to be a cure. I think herpes might be the only virus where you can use antiviral to cure it, and sometimes it still comes back. So if it's a virus, there's no cure. The only way to prevent it is through vaccine, which is why you get flu shots every year. So sorry to hop in on that, but that's important. So if anyone's saying COVID cure or flu cure, they're lying about it. It's not a thing.
That is a very good.
Yep.
No, that's a good point. So yeah, charity scams. There are people out there who are soliciting donations to a fake charity and just pocketing the money. They might tell a good story about how they're out there in the community doing good work for folks who are, out of work or sick, but they have no intention of actually helping anyone. So there's a lot of great resources to figure out, if it is an actual charity. You can do a search for IRS tax exempt organizations. That's a great tool. But there's also fake contact tracing. That's just trying to get your information, potentially charge you money. But yeah, that's definitely something. If there is contact tracing, you can verify that it is actually somebody.
Because I did have people who unfortunately did test positive or have been exposed. So for people who are interested, what happens if I am exposed, or how do I know it's real? Generally, people doing contact tracing will either call or text to tell you that they're going to call, but they won't make you click on anything. So if you do get a text, that says, we're trying to do contact tracing, click on this link to enter your information. Don't do that. That's definitely phishing and getting your trying to steal your identity or information.
Yep.
And it also goes back to like know who's on the other side of the line. So if someone calls and say we're doing contact tracing, you can be like, okay, which hospital you're from? I just call the hospital. Instead of talking to that person online, because you don't know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless it's someone you know personally. If your mom's a nurse and she calls you like, hey, that's a different story, obviously. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, you're good. I
yep.
think that was just about the end of the
Oh, yep, yeah.
of all the COVID scams.
Yep, definitely. And I'll actually put a link out there. So Tim and I were on this identity theft training, and they did provide a really good link for Medicaid Center for Medicaid Medicare Service. Sorry, and we'll put a link in this video or in the comment section to let you know where to go if you think you gave your number out and it wasn't a legit business. Don't be too embarrassed. It's the earlier you tell someone about it, the better. So cms.gov is the place to go to report it if you think you've been defrauded, and they will help you build a case and hopefully find the person who's scamming you. We're running a little long, but let's just talk really briefly generally about tips about how to not get scammed. So I'll get started. I think one important thing to keep in mind, besides knowing who's on the other side of the line, is don't react immediately. These things, even if an emergency happens, still give it a minute and think about how I got this information. Is it from a trusted source? Give give it a minute to think about it and think it through before you react and give someone your social security number or your money. If you're not sure if something is a scam or not, ask someone you trust. I know it's a little bit harder now because because a lot of people are isolated, but ask friends or family members, and to people who don't have a stake in what you're about to do, and ask them if they think it's a scam. But 9 times out of 10, if you had to ask, it probably is. If you sniff something weird about it, probably a scam. Tim, do you want to send out another couple of tips?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sorry, my cat is headbutting my computer. Don't click on pop-ups. That's never a good thing. If someone is claiming to be from the government and they send email, something like that, only trust information from a website that ends in .gov. There's no such thing, or IRS.com is not going to be a legitimate
No.
source of information. And really just use your common sense. If something's too good to be true, it really is.
Yep. And so, once you've been scammed, hopefully this will keep you from being scammed. But a lot of times you just don't know. Like, I mean, I probably have been scammed and not even really know about it. But if you think you've been scammed, stop contact with a scammer immediately, because you don't want to give out more information. It's natural to be really angry and upset and demand that, they pay you back or what have you, but you should just stop contacting immediately. So you don't give away that in case you're trying to catch them or law enforcement is trying to catch them. And two, you don't want to give out any more information. And another thing you can do if you think you've been scammed is that you can contact the bank or the services where you gave money through. So if you, for example, pay through iTunes and you realize, oh no, I've been scammed, contact them immediately to say, hey, you need to stop payment on this card. It's through a scam, and they will do that for you. And Tim, do you want to talk about maybe some other things that people can do?
Yeah.
Yep.
Freeze your credit, definitely. If you think that someone has your social security number or might be able to open up credit cards in your name, call Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Those are the three major credit bureaus. And law enforcement is always a good tool to potentially help, if not get your money back, then maybe stop other people from getting scammed. Call the Attorney General's office, the police, and then you can also contact the Federal Trade Commission.
Yep. And I think I said before, you can also contact the FBI if you think it's someone out of state. They do have a fraud investigation department, so you can call their field office. You can get their number from the website. I think that's really all we have to talk about scams for today. And of course, at the beginning of the show, I was actually talking to him as I was doing research on the types of scam out there. I was getting angry and more angry because there's just so many different types of scams out there. And they prey on your feelings, and they prey on your I think everyone being isolated and your lack of knowledge. So be careful out there. So and of course, if you do see a scam, you should report it to the Attorney General's office anyway, even if you think you are not going to, even if you didn't fall for it, because a lot of times catching them early might prevent other people falling for the scam. So I always tell people, like, report them when you see them. So with that said, I want to talk about next week real quick before we go. So next week I will be talking with our family law expert, attorney Jordan Baker, to answer your questions about child custody. And I know COVID is throwing a wrench in everybody's custody arrangement. So we'll go over basic rights when it comes to child custody, basic courtroom procedures, and of course, any changes that happened since COVID started. So if you do have a question about child custody, make sure that you either leave a comment down below, or if you want to remain anonymous, you can definitely private message us and we won't share any of the information. And of course, if you do want to talk to an attorney one-on-one, just contact us and we'll see if we can either represent you or give you some advice. And of course, if you do like this video and you watch it religiously every week, one, I really appreciate it. And two, make sure you're sharing these videos just so that other people can get the knowledge too. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you next Tuesday at noon.